Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you so much for all the love and support and for watching my first video. It really means the honest world to me. I really appreciate it, and I'm so excited to be back to give you my first HRT update.
1, 2, 3, funk it.
My darling, I love you, 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 I love you.
Hi, the D-cam is back, but when I originally filmed this video, I intended it to be a all-encompassing video of me explaining my story on how I got on HRT, some of my struggles, as well as giving you a 1-month update on some of the changes I've seen. But unfortunately, as I'm editing it right now, I'm realizing it is so long. So to spare everyone a 40-minute video, I will be doing this in 2 parts. And I was thinking about maybe just deleting all of the information about how I got onto HRT, some information about HRT and some of my struggles, but I realized that is really so important and something that I personally would have loved to hear about and to know more about during my struggles. I'm not sure if many other people on HRT have similar experiences to cypertonin. I've been saying it wrong. Oh, I just said it wrong. Cypertonin. It's not cypertonin, it's cyproterone. I'm so annoying. So I will be saying cyproterone throughout this video. I hope I'm saying spironolactone correctly, but don't kill me. But anyways, yeah, I think this would be super useful for anyone interested in learning about some of the medication through HRT, and if anyone else has any similar scenarios regarding liver issues, I would love to know your story and kind of compare notes. I'm really interested, so hopefully this is informative. Yeah, I'll connect later on in the video. So before we get into this video, I do have a few disclaimers because we are talking about a lot of medical things. I want to make sure that I'm saying everything correctly, but I also want you to know that this is all coming from my experience, and I would highly recommend talking with a medical professional if you are interested in getting on HRT. Please do not take anything that I'm saying as the only source of information. I'm by no means a medical professional. I am just speaking from my experiences on HRT and all the information that I've researched and that I've been given from my doctor. So what is HRT? So HRT stands for Hormone Replacement Therapy. I'm going to read it off my screen, so apologies if I'm looking off to the side, but feminizing hormone therapy is used to induce physical changes in your body caused by female hormones during puberty, secondary sex characteristics, to promote the matching of your gender identity and your body, gender congruence. Going on HRT does have many side effects and risks, which can include blood clots, high triglycerides, gallstones, elevated liver functions, decreased libido, and many more. So the 2 types of medication typically prescribed when starting HRT for those going from male to female are commonly categorized as anti-androgens and estrogen, the female hormone. What is an anti-androgen? Anti-androgens can be defined as a suppression of testosterone production and blocking of its effects, contributing to the suppression and minimization of male secondary sexual characteristics. The most commonly prescribed anti-androgens, through my experience and discussions with my endo, are cypertonin and spironolactone, and we'll talk a little bit more about those later on. And estrogen is the female hormone. The most commonly prescribed estrogen through my experience is estradiol, which is a bioidentical hormone, chemically identical to that from the human ovary. I'm currently taking both of these medications in pill form, but of course there are many different types of ways of going through HRT, so I do recommend talking to your endo or your doctor if you are interested in HRT to learn more about all the other ways you can go about HRT. I guess my story of getting on HRT, and I do want to start off by saying that it hasn't been the easiest. I think one of the hardest parts is definitely coming to terms with the fact that you are ready to transition. I think for me, when I started, looking into HRT, it was a little daunting. I think even physically Googling myself was it was a little frightening to really understand all of the medical terms and the terminology. And I think looking back, there really was nothing for me to be scared about as far as research, and I wish I had done more, which probably would have made my transition a lot easier. So I do highly recommend, in addition to this video, going on Google, doing a bit of research on your own. I do recommend a lot of smaller blog forums and forums because the trans community and the LGBT community do congregate a lot in those spaces and really use that area to converse with each other, provide additional resources, personal experiences. I have found it really helpful. I personally love going on Reddit just to read about other people's journeys and how they're coping with all of the things that I'm coping with, especially because I don't have many trans friends. It's made me feel a little bit more connected to the trans world, and I just genuinely love the community. So I would say in 2019 I was pretty familiar with this clinic. I believe there's a few of them in the States as well. And I was familiar with the environment there. I've always felt very comfortable in that clinic, and I've had a few instances where I've picked up a pamphlet while I was waiting for my appointment with my doctor about transitioning, so I did feel a personal connection to that clinic. I reached out to that clinic late December of 2019, and lo and behold, a lot of waiting. I did not expect the wait times. I would say it took me about a month to even get in and have a discussion, and every single time I would go in and prepare myself for the next discussion or the next step through that clinic, I was always excited and ready to just get started on HRT, but unfortunately there was more waiting. After meeting with the community coordinator, she connected me with a doctor, which meant I also needed to wait a little bit longer to get an appointment with her. So a few weeks after that, I did end up going in again to have my appointment with my endo, and lo and behold, more waiting. I think you'll see a general theme here, the idea of patience. Things totally take time. And so my first appointment really was kind of like a check-in and an initial conversation on all the precautions, all of the side effects that could happen. We went through a lot of administrative work. I did receive a prerequisite to do some general blood tests, and I think that's also another thing to keep in mind going into HRT. There are quite a lot of blood tests you'll need to do. I would say I do one at least once or twice a month, sometimes even more. So a couple weeks go by after I had taken the prerequisite and the blood test that she requested, and that's when we started to discuss some of the medications that I could possibly be taking. We did start off with focusing on anti-androgens. I thought it was quite a smart call. I'm not sure if all doctors do this, but she did recommend that we do things in stages and steps just to make sure that everything is in the clear. And I'm so thankful that although it's been such a long, stretched out process, that it was done so in a very careful way. I think it could have done a lot of damage to my body, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about the complications that I experienced on HRT, but I really appreciate her carefulness in helping me through this journey. Anyways, we started off with anti-androgens, and she said this is really the first step of HRT, which, like I mentioned earlier on in the video, is hormone blockers or hormone male blocker. She gave me the option of choosing between two. So like I mentioned earlier on, the most commonly prescribed anti-androgens are cypertonin and spironolactone. I would say if you do Google anti-androgens and HRT, you will typically see majority of people prescribed through spironolactone, which is what I'm currently on today, but she did advocate for cypertonin, and I was excited because she did express that through her experience of prescribing cypertonin, she's seen a little bit faster of a lift as far as reducing the male hormones. And so I was prescribed, I don't remember the exact milligram, but I was prescribed cypertonin for about a few weeks, and I guess that's when everything went south. So just quickly bringing you up to speed, I did a blood test, almost like a check-in, to see if there was any impact to my body, and unfortunately I got quite a frantic call from her while I was at work telling me to absolutely stop taking the medication, and that it spiked my liver enzymes incredibly. So the following few days we sat together, started looking at other options, but our first instinct was to just stop. She had me do quite a few other blood tests periodically for about a few weeks, just making sure that my liver enzymes go back to normal. They did go lower, but unfortunately it did stay a little bit higher than average. So she was a little concerned about, one, getting me back on cyproterone, and two, trying another anti-androgen without fully understanding why my liver enzymes were high. So I'd be curious to understand if the side effect would affect someone with a healthier liver. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'd love to know more. So from then, she connected me with a liver specialist, which meant more waiting. That blood test, it was shared through my liver specialist, and she speculated that I possibly had a fatty liver, but of course, until she does a few more tests herself, she wouldn't know. So through the liver specialist, I did a few more blood tests. I also did a few other tests. I don't remember the exact name of them, but it almost felt like an ultrasound, and she concluded that yes, in fact, I do have a fatty liver. Unfortunately, there was one more test to see if there was any damage done to my actual liver, and that is when COVID happened and lockdown happened and the world shut down, which was not fun for me. I think I spent more than 2 months with a giant question mark on my forehead because of all the COVID spikes. They were prioritizing, of course, those more in need of medical attention, so I wasn't able to get into the hospital to do my last liver test. But fortunately, I would say probably around the summertime or springtime, an opening did pop up and I was able to go and do my test. And fortunately, it didn't show any actual damage to my liver and confirmed that it was just a fatty liver. So my liver specialist then recommended that for a few months I take some time off of HRT as a whole, continue to get healthy, and she put me on a strict diet. I had to eat lots of vegetables, get a lot of exercise. I think that time was great for me to mentally prepare myself to transition. I think if I were to go back, I probably wouldn't change any of it, because I do appreciate all of the learnings from the way my whole process went. Of course, it sucks that I've had to kind of ride this giant roller coaster of emotions, but the time spent reflecting and preparing my body to be as healthy as possible, I think did wonders for me. I was able to get back in discussions with my endo because my liver specialist had said that we are in the clear. My liver went back to normal. I did lose a bit of weight. I was eating a lot healthier. My mental health was really great. I was feeling great. Everything was on the right path. Looking back at the start of my journey, although it's been quite difficult and definitely a rocky start, I do think there's quite a few silver linings for me. Getting the time to sit back and self-reflect has been such a blessing in itself. There's gonna always be something I could do to my physical appearance, and that goes for anyone, trans or not. But what's been so beautiful about all of this is the opportunity that life has given me to validate within myself that this is what I want to do, and it's been great to be able to accept myself for everything that I am today, everything that I am when I first started. It took me a lot to get to that point, and if you take anything from this, I guess it would be to appreciate all the things that life gives you today, because you only have one life, and it's totally worth living. So with that, I hope you join me in part 2 of this video, where I'll go into a little bit more detail on the actual physical changes that I've seen in the last month or so. I'm really excited for this series to look back and reflect on where I started and remember all of the struggles that I've gone through to make me appreciate everything that I have in the moment. So I hope you do the same. See ya.